This is Love Notes, daily devotions from Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. Grace and peace to you. We read another section of On Living Simply, excerpts from John Chrysostom and his sermons. Chrysostom today wants to talk about the responses people make to how the faithful live out their lives. It's a little bit parallel to Jesus' parable about the sower and the different kinds of seed that are sown. Chrysostom says, when we live according to the moral principles of our faith, and that's where the rubber hits the road, isn't it? When our faith is not just something in here, it's not just Jesus and me, but it's something that affects the morals that guide our living and our everyday decisions, those around us may respond in three possible ways. Chrysostom says, first, they may be so impressed by the example of our goodness and so envious of the joy which it brings that they want to join us and become like us. There is an assurance here that when we are faithful and we do what God calls us to do, when we live according to the example of Jesus Christ, that we will have joy, and that others may see that. Indeed, in the book of Acts, the number of people added to the church by the thousands was due in large part to the fact that people saw that these people loved one another, and they did so in a way that was so qualitatively different than the world around them. They took care of one another. They had compassion for one another. And so onlookers, at least some of them, wanted to be part of that. That's still the best way for the church to do evangelism, is to have people look at us and say, I'd like to be part of that, because there's something there I want, something I don't understand, something I wish to find out more about. Then he says, second, they may be indifferent to us because they are so bound up with their own selfish cares and concerns. Although their eyes may perceive our way of life, their hearts are blind, so they are unable to stir them. In other words, these are the folks who in this world look at the Christian, the faithful group of followers of Jesus, and say, well, that's weird, and then go on about their business, or don't even notice what we do because they're so busy with their own lives. I would say this makes up a huge portion of the onlookers of the Christian faith in a secular world like we live in. People just write it off and scoff at it. It's not even to be paid attention to because they don't believe that faith can make a difference in your life. They become cynical and jaded, and so they don't even pay attention. Chrysostom says there's a third way they may react, and that's against us. Feeling threatened by our example and even angry with us, thus they will cling even more firmly to their material possessions and selfish ambitions and slander us at every opportunity. Chrysostom knew this firsthand. There were people right from the get-go who, as he was selling all of the stuff in the bishop's palace and giving it away to the poor, thought he was nuts and thought it reflected badly on them. I mean, what's next? He's going to want us to do the same thing, and that's precisely what he told the priests who were under his authority. Sell everything you have and give it to the poor. He told the emperor the same thing. And they got angry. They got angry to the point of finally exiling him and killing him. Naturally, Chrysostom says, we dread this third type of reaction because we want to live in peace with our neighbors, regardless of their personal beliefs and values. And there's an interesting assumption that he makes, that it is the desire of people to live at peace with one another, even if we have differences of opinion. I wish I lived in that world because we don't seem to inhabit it anymore. But then he gives a warning. But if no one reacts to us in this way, if no one is offended by what we do, we must wonder whether we are truly fulfilling the commandments of Christ. My friends, after all, you can't worship a God that's revealed on a cross and be surprised by rejection and suffering. The God we worship is a God who was rejected and suffered. And so if we are to be faithful to that God, well, then we should be prepared for the same. Not from everyone. Some, like those who follow Jesus, will imperfectly be inspired by him. Some won't pay any attention to him at all, and others will get angry and drag him outside the walls of the city and hang him until he's dead. Those are the responses that people can have to people of faith, and we should be prepared and wise for it. We should also look at our lives and see if we're offending anybody, because there's some measurement in that. Amen.